Hi, my name is Chandra, and today I want to make rhubarb coconut buns, like a cinnamon bun, but rhubarb and coconut for the flavors. And I also want to use, I'll use a compote for the rhubarb filling that I'll spread on the dough before I roll it. And I found a compote recipe that uses cardamom, which I love. So I'm going to do that. So we'll get started. This rhubarb, it is spring, and rhubarb is coming up where I live, but it is not ready to use yet. But I have rhubarb from last year in my freezer. So we're going to make this compote with frozen rhubarb. So first I need to get that. It is thawed. I could go right from the frozen. It would just take longer, and I happen to have mine thawed already. So let's get it into the pan. There's my, I don't need all of this. I'm going to use some of it to make a strawberry rhubarb galette, because I also have some strawberries that I bought and we didn't quite finish. So I think there's enough to do that and this. So I need 225 grams of this. I need all liquid. This is a little over, but I'm going to assume that that's fine. I'm using the juice of one clementine. Oh. 1 teaspoon of cardamom. 1/2 cup of coconut sugar. I'm gonna let this cook until it is nice and thickened and the rhubarb is all breaking apart. And then I think that I will puree this either in the blender or with my immersion blender so that it's nice and smooth for spreading over my buns. I have made this recipe one time before, kind of the time that I made it up. I wanted to film it and I had sound issues, so it never made it onto my channel. But I want to try it again, and I'm going to improve it quite a bit, because the second time you do something is, you know, you can iron out all the details. So I'll let this cook, come to a boil, and then cook until the rhubarb is really falling apart. Right now it's still pretty, even though it's been frozen, it's still pretty solid. Okay, you can see this is thickening up to the point where I can make a trail. My rhubarb is totally soft, so I'm going to turn this off and get to my dough. I just made some adjustments to the recipe, thinking about what I had done last time, so I think now we are ready to go. I don't think I'll even need to, let me turn this off. I don't think I'll need to puree this. It is just falling apart so nicely. I can just kind of chop these up. That may be because they were frozen, so they were already somewhat broken down. If you're working with rhubarb that hasn't been frozen, maybe you would want to puree it, or maybe you would want to have a little bit of pieces in your buns, and that would be fine too. Okay, that can just sit and cool. I have a can of coconut milk, and I want to separate the top fat that comes to the top of the can. I'm going to separate that from the water. And then I'll use the liquid, the watery coconut, for inside the buns, and I'll use this cream for topping the buns. Last time I made this, I mixed the can together and used all, just the full coconut milk, full fat coconut milk. But I think this might be an interesting thing to try. Here's the water now. Now, if this is not enough, I will add a little bit of this fattier milk to make up enough. Here. I do like to use my mixer for these gluten-free doughs because they're pretty sticky, and this makes it a lot easier, although it is possible to do it without, for sure. But it is important to have it really well combined, and it's just easier with the mixer. So in here, I need 180 grams of water. $15 grams of psyllium husk. And this will just take a few minutes to become gelled. And then we can add the rest of our wet ingredients. Here, right now it's just very watery, and that quickly will become thicker. Already happening. These buns would be great with unrefined coconut oil because it has the coconut flavor. If I had that, I would use it. But I just have refined coconut oil. I use it for everything, so it's nice to have it not taste like coconut. But in this case, when we're looking for coconut flavor, it would have been fine. So 28 grams. And I'm just going to melt this. That will just take a second. In the meantime, look at this, total gel, not moving. So I'm gonna add my egg to this. That oil is melting. I'm going to add my coconut water from the can. I did 100 grams total, so let's see what we have. Oh, this is perfect. You know, this is a little bit more than I need, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it. Okay, that's 114 grams. We need to add a little bit more flour, or have a wetter dough. I don't mind. It already smells so good. So coconutty. Okay, my coconut oil is melted. I'm gonna add that in. I've been wanting to make these again ever since I made them the first time. I thought they were really good. So here are our wet ingredients. Now let's get our dry ingredients measured in. We need 160 grams of starch. Price-wise, potato starch is one of the less expensive ones, so it's nice to go with that one. I like to save my arrowroot for thickening on the stove. That's the most expensive starch for me. So I need 160. You also need less of it. By volume, it's a little heavier. We need 135 grams of millet flour. Uh-oh. And 25 grams of buckwheat. Need to mill just a little bit more millet. I've got a napper right now, so if I get to the point where I can't do anything else and she's still sleeping, I'm gonna mill this. It's not that much. She wakes up, I will mill the rest of this jar because it's good to have some in the freezer. But we'll start with this. And I'm gonna get everything else I can in. 50 grams of sugar. I'm gonna use coconut sugar. 6 grams of instant yeast. Because it's instant yeast, I don't need to bloom it in water, I can just add it right in. Grams of baking powder. I just need to put mine through a sieve because it's a little clumpy. 5 grams of guar gum. And I'll just put the rest of my things through this sieve too. And then 5 grams of salt. All right, we're gonna need to whisk it and grind up that millet. There's the rest of our millet. And that's everything. I like to give this a little bit of a stir first. Sometimes these ingredients will tend to stick to the bottom or go unnoticed on the bottom. And this means less stopping the mixer to try and scrape it. Okay. This is done. You can see it's a nice dough. I am going to let this rise for probably about an hour. Give it a little scoop to make sure everything is mixed in. There are little bits at the bottom that are not. I just have a little bit of my gluten-free flour mix here. And I'm gonna give this, remember we had extra liquid, so it's certainly fine to knead a little bit more in. And then I'll get this into a clean, oiled bowl to rise. Just needs a quick knead. This beautiful soft dough. Psyllium husk is just amazing for making a dough that is gluten-free, that handles very similar to gluten dough. Okay, here's my lovely dough. It's not too sticky because we are going to be rolling it out. I'm just gonna put lightly flour here. We've got lunch happening in the background, but we're taking a break to get this onto its next step. So just lightly flour. I have my round cake pan Circulon that's very non-stick, so I'm gonna use that. I don't even think I need to oil it. I'm gonna roll this out. I'm gonna make 7 buns. this to a rough rectangle. And now it's time for our rhubarb. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. That seems right. Here's our rhubarb filling. I'm just going to spread that. This is nice and cooled. Spread that as evenly as I can. I mean, look how sturdy that dough is. It smells so good. I'm going to go right to the edges so my end pieces will be just as delicious. Okay, I want 7 pieces, right? 1, 2, 3. Yes. 6, 7. Perfect. Gluten-free dough does very well with individually rolled pieces. Oh, I want to sprinkle on some coconut here. I only have this bigger coconut. I think that will be fine. This coconut is really delicious, so. Okay. Now we can roll. All right. I'm going to cover these and let them rise until they are filling this pan. I'm actually going to put these in the refrigerator. I have to leave the house in a little while, so I won't be here to bake them in about an hour, which is I think about how long it will take. So put them in the fridge, we'll slow them right down, and I can cater them to what I need. These are about ready to go in the oven, so I'm going to melt that fat from the coconut can I opened, and look how nicely risen and puffy they are. So this is in lieu of heavy cream. So if you are eating dairy, you would use heavy cream. Well, in this case, maybe you would use coconut milk anyway for the flavor, since these are coconut buns. But anyway, this helps make them really soft and really moist to pour this over before you bake them. I am sticking a tray underneath this pan because it was overflowing a bit. Mine were very big. Maybe I would next time make smaller width buns and use a bigger pan. But it was okay, it just leaked over a little bit. They were nice and big, so maybe that's not a bad thing. Oh boy, these look really good. I want to kind of check to make sure that they're done. All right, let's get some of this out and see how it looks. Yep, this pan does not stick. Ooh, it's still steaming. That's definitely cooked.